Welcome to Make Shit Happen. My guest today is Jentry Kelley. Jentry, thank you for taking the time and coming over here on the show. I really appreciate it. I know Deanne hooked us up together, and I'm so glad to see you over here. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
And before the interview started, before we started this podcast, I was talking to you, and I'm just so happy that we met. You know, I love your personality, love your outgoing and outspoken personality. So thank you for coming. Thank you for making the time.
Well, thanks for having me today.
Jentry, you have a cosmetic company. Okay, you call it Jentry Kelley Cosmetic.
That is correct.
And how did you start that? I mean, what motivated you, or what made you start that? And why makeup? Why cosmetics?
The whole makeup thing was an accident.
Okay.
Like I always knew as a little girl that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. My mom she owned a salon that did, hair, makeup, nails. So I kind of grew up around that. But I do feel like you're either born with it or you're not. And I always had that hustle, right? So I would do garage sales as a little girl. I'd be like begging my mom to take me to my grandma's house to get some junk out of her garage because she was a hoarder. And I started a little bank account. And I was saving money from like the age of 8, 9, and 10, right?
Really?
So when I turned 14, and I was a major tomboy, believe it or not, like I didn't have any friends that were girls. I played in the ditch. I rode four-wheelers, climbed trees. I wanted nothing to do with anything beauty related. Like girl stuff, gross, So when I turned 14, she put me in modeling school. I was really skinny, not confident, definitely not attractive, but she put me in there more for like etiquette reasons, right? And on the very last Saturday, they had a makeup class. Well, I'd always been an artist, so of course that was very interesting to me. And for the first time, I painted my face with the instruction of the artist, with in a room full of girls facing a mirror. And I looked in the mirror for the first time. I actually felt pretty, right? And you're going through that awkward stage at 13, 14, and you feel ugly, right? I had rosacea, which is some shit white people get, that little red spots on their face. So I covered it up, and I looked in the mirror, and I was like, oh my God, my rosacea's gone. Look at me, I'm kind of cute. Look at that. And I started getting more confident then around that time. Went into high school, started charging my friends $10, because here's that entrepreneurial side of me, right? Started charging my friends $10 to do their makeup or do their nails. And my mom said when I turned 18, hey, when you're going off to school, I can get you a job at the makeup counter. So that's kind of how it started. Like it was literally just supposed to be a job while I was getting my business degree. And then made pretty good money at it. Ended up at Neiman Marcus. They paid for the rest of my college. Learned the business side of it. And I was like, hey, I could do this. 11 years into it professionally, 16 years from that makeup class. I was like, here I am standing behind this counter and making in 2 weeks what I could make in a day doing the bridal business, right? And making Neiman Marcus millions a year, putting in my blood, sweat, and tears.
And what were you doing at Neiman Marcus?
I started at Bobbi Brown Cosmetics. So I worked there for 5 years, left because they wouldn't promote me. So I got passed up for promotion, got pissed off, went to go work for a plastic surgeon who was one of my client's husbands. He fired me 5 weeks later. So then I had to go after my job back. But then they gave me the promotion that I wanted just for a different makeup counter, right? So it was kind of like my push to prove to them they fucked up, made a mistake. They should have promoted me, but they didn't. So they gave me like the shittier counter, and the counter that I wanted to work at. I was married to Bobbi Brown, right? That was the brand that I loved and adored and all my customers used. So for 2.5 years, I proved them otherwise. And it was in 2007, 2008. And Neiman's was trying to file for bankruptcy then. They were in a lot of financial trouble. Every line was running decreases. I was like, I'm going to go in here every day and I'm going to show those motherfuckers they made a mistake. So I told my girls, I was like, I don't care if you have to give sex with purchase. They call it gift with purchase. I said, you can give some sex with purchase. We got to do what we got to do. Get on here, start dancing on the counters. We're going to beat Bobbi Brown, and we're going to show them that they should have given me a chance, right? Everybody's going to start somewhere,
So what cosmetic line did they give you?
Laura Mercier.
Okay.
So that was a Houston-based brand, actually. They had an office. Their corporate office was here somewhere in Stafford, around this area.
That's a big company now.
Yeah, they sold for, so Janet Gerwich started the company. She was actually from Houston. I may have my numbers a little off, but I think she invested about $11 million to start the company with a financial group of investors, and they sold it for like $280 million 10 years later.
Wow.
And now she buys up a lot of smaller companies, pumps money into them. I think Urban Decay is one of her brands, the blow dry bar, things like that. Mm-hmm. So that's who I aspire to be one day. But in the meantime, I'm kind of like learning the ropes of the business now. And I ended up leaving Neiman's, to start a bridal business. And then people just kind of kept coming to me and saying, why don't you have your own makeup line? I'm like, well, I always felt insecure that I never had enough money or I wasn't smart enough.
So hold on, let's go back over here. Yeah. You said you left Neiman to start the bridal business. Mm-hmm. And earlier you said that, you could make money in one day. Let's go back over there.
Yeah. So when I worked at Neiman Marcus, you're not really allowed to have Saturdays off. They'll give you a few a year here and there, but that is their prime day where they were always book solid, right? So
retail is Saturday, yes. Sunday.
Exactly. Same thing as you with furniture. Everybody's off. Everybody wants to go shopping. So you couldn't have the weekends off. Well, what day do people get married on? Saturday. So the day that I left I had already been planning, and I had my fiance had a web guy, right? So he designed me a website that I launched it the day that I put in my notice and I quit. My last day, we launched the website. And Facebook had just started Facebook business pages. So people actually followed your business page back then, right? So I announced, everybody follow my business page. You know, I'm doing wedding makeup. I'm off on Saturdays. And all my clients that had been following me were like, great, my friend's getting married. So-and-so, I'm getting married, right? I booked $3,000 worth of business the first day I launched it. I was like, shit, look at this.
Wow.
So people started saying, well, now that you're not at the store, you know, who's going to help me with my makeup? Can you refer somebody? Can you come to my house? So that's kind of how it started. But I was like, you know, I couldn't really afford to do my own makeup. I thought I couldn't afford to do my own makeup line. But one day I called this place in New York that I knew Bobby Brown started. I said, hey, I want to start a makeup line. I'm from Texas. What do I do? They said, well, I'm sure they get this phone call 900 times a day. They said, well, we have an open house in Soho, New York. Come on over. It's next week. I'm like, shit. I had like $2,000 in my bank account. And I spent all my money on a last minute plane ticket and hotel, because the hotel's in room, you get like a box for $500 a night, right? So I flew out there, spent 9 hours at the open house, and I was like, okay, I want to do this. I didn't even write a business plan. I went to college to learn how to write a business plan, but I knew I would talk myself out of it. I said, I'm not going to write a business plan. I'm going to wing this shit. How do I pay for this? Because I ain't got no money. I'm poor white trash from Texas. What do I do? They said, well, we take credit cards. I said, perfect. I don't know how, but I have this American Express card, the $35,000 limit, and I don't have to pay it off every month. So that's what I did. I charged, my very first transaction was like, I think $5,000-ish. And I was shitting my pants. I couldn't sleep at night. I hate owing people money. So I couldn't sleep at night. I was up. I'm like, am I making the right decision? Are people going to buy this? And then after, like, one of the biggest unexpected costs of starting the business was the cardboard boxes that you throw away when you get the makeup.
Really?
That was $11,000 of my $35,000.
Wow.
And I was barely
the case, just that cardboard boxes, the little
shit you throw away.
Yeah, right when you get it.
Yep. So packaging was the biggest expense over what the makeup cost me. And so anyway, I charged $35,000 on the card, and I was like, I hope this works. I announced on my Facebook page that I was having a launch party, and 200 people showed up.
Really?
And I sold $10,000 worth of makeup the first day.
Wow. 200 people showed up on the first day.
Over a 2-day period of our launch party.
How did that make you feel?
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I sold 10,000. I mean, I wasn't expecting.
I mean, where were you? I mean, were you on cloud 9 at that time? You were like, man, this is it.
Well,
I made it, baby.
I really didn't feel that way at first. I was still very insecure about paying this credit card debt off. So what I did was I didn't pay myself. And a lot of entrepreneurs don't pay themselves. And I'm sure you were in this position too.
Of course.
You can't take money and you feel guilty when you're finally allowed to or able to. You feel guilty, right?
Yes.
So my goal was, once I hit $1 million, I was going to write my first check. So however long it took me to get there, I was going to wait till it hit $1 million in total sales. Not like net profit, just total sales, right?
Gross sales, right?
So what I did was, for every tube of lipstick that I sold, because I sold out of almost everything through that launch party, right? $35,000 didn't get me $35,000 worth of makeup. So people were on wait list for like 2 or 3 months waiting for stuff to come in. But for every tube of lipstick that I sold, I would buy 2 more. And I was really focused year 1 on building my inventory, launching new products, building up. In case a store ever came to me, I would actually have stuff to sell them. So didn't pay myself a dime, literally not a dime. $75,000 on year 1, $260,000 on year 2, then $450,000, then $600,000, then $900,000. This was like per year. Then I got to $1 million in sales and I couldn't do it. I couldn't write myself that check. I'm like, I'm taking from the company. Yeah, I could write myself a check for $2,000, but I could make $6,000 from that $2,000. So why would I do that?
So let me ask you a question. If you're not writing yourself a check, how are you surviving day to day?
Prostitution. No. It's so funny. A lot of people thought I had a sugar daddy or something along the way. Nobody could put 2 and 2 together how I wasn't paying myself, but I still had the bridal business on the side. That's a service-based job, right?
So you're still doing makeup?
Yes. So if I went and did a wedding of 6 people, right, that's $600. I charge $100 per person. If I did that every weekend, that paid my rent. And I lived in the hood. I didn't give a fuck where I lived. I would never let anybody come to my house, right? But I knew I had a goal in mind. If I couldn't be a $30,000 millionaire, right? I had to hustle, live like well below my means. Whatever was on the dollar menu, I ate Taco Bell every day, so my stomach was all fucked up, all kinds of fucked up. $2.15 is what it cost for a double-decker taco supreme with cheese and no tomatoes. And that's what I would eat every single day because I knew I could eat very low cost. I paid $550 a month for my rent. I would come home, cars were on blocks. Somebody getting shot, like all kinds of bad shit. But I knew that I saw like the big picture of where I could be like 5 years and 10 years. So I did it. Made it happen.
So now that you're almost 10 years in business, right? And I know COVID changed a lot in your business, and we'll talk about it later on. But let's go back to the beginning years, right? So in the beginning years, let's just walk us slowly. First year, you got the first party going in or whatever. How were you promoting your business? Were you just doing Facebook organic? Because at that time, you said you used Facebook, and Facebook was free at that time.
It was totally free. Yeah, Instagram wasn't around yet. I mean,
Right.
Instagram was, I think, around, 2008, 2009, but it wasn't big yet. It was just for picture taking and checking in places, right?
Right.
So it was mostly Facebook that brought me to where I am now.
To the party.
So yeah, I would just post and try to make it exciting, funny, always a little inappropriate. You want to keep people's attention. You can't sell to them on your page, 75%. It's got to be like 25% selling, 75% you, right? Keeping their attention. So at that time I was wild, crazy, kind of a club girl traveling all around the world promoting my makeup brand. So it was funny, inappropriate, and it made them want to support me because makeup is makeup. All this shit's kind of made at the same place anyway, right? Same factories. There's like only so many recipes you can make a chocolate chip cookie. It's still a chocolate chip cookie. It's still got flour, butter, chocolate chips, right?
Right.
But it's how you market your brand, your point of difference, like I was saying, my education part of it. And it was very successful for me. And then once I really hit the bandwagon on Instagram, it got that much more successful because of the features that Instagram allows me to promote my own business. And of course, YouTube too. But the book really helped launch. When I launched my book in 2015, 2016, that really helped take my business to the next level, especially like internationally, because now we ship makeup all over the world.
And there's a great title to the book. What's the name of the book?
Hooker to Looker.
Hooker to Liquor. And I know right now the book is on freeze and it's not selling. And I'm sure that I'm hoping that you'll come up with something that this year.
This year we hope to go back into print. It's not in print right now.
Yeah. So Hooker to Liquor was the name of the book, which is on pause. And I'm hoping that when it comes to print, we can get you back on over here.
Yeah.
And, but the name is crazy. Hooker to Looker. Where did you come up with that name and why that name? And tell me a little bit.
Okay, so this funny story is my customers name all my shit. I don't name anything.
Okay.
Well, I have some really funny names to all of my makeup and really cute play on words because my customers name it. So if I come, it's like built-in marketing too, right? So if I have a new lipstick coming out, I'll post a picture of the lipstick and I say, okay, you guys, name that shade game. They go crazy. Girls love that shit. Everyone wants to name an OPI nail polish. I'm sure you guys probably know about that too. It's like they have really crazy funny names. So whoever names it, if I like your name and I pick your name, then I post your name that you win, you get that product for free before it comes out actually. So then you get a free product, then you get to tell your friends you named everything. So that's like built-in marketing, and then people get to be excited about that. So with my book.
So give me an example of some of the names that you have.
One of my favorite names of all times was Grape Expectations. I loved that one.
Oh, Grape, Grape, Grape
Purple
Expectation.
eyeshadow. Safari, not sorry. It's a green eyeshadow. Let's see. Trying to think of some other really funny. Cherry Go Round is a new one. So it's just like a funny little play on words that kind of describes the color too. Cherry, red, things like that. Yeah. So it was actually a girl I went to high school with. I was like, okay, I love this name, Hooker to Looker. And my book publisher was like, no, we're not using that name. I was like, yes, we are. She goes, nope, that's going to like X out all of the 12 and 13-year-olds. Their moms aren't going to give them the book. And sure enough, I named it that anyway. And all the 13-year-old moms still bought them the damn book. Trust me, at 13, they heard way worse than the word hooker.
So why Hooker to Looker? What made you come up with that name? So I mean, what was the motivation behind that name?
So a lot of women, don't have proper education on how to apply their makeup, right? But you're applying a mask to your face. And a lot of women actually look like they put a mask on their face, right? So rewind 5 years, YouTube was getting popular, but there wasn't as many makeup tutorials, I feel like, back then as there is now. So what we do is we apply proper education for the woman who wants to look very natural, girl next door, doesn't want to look made up. That's like the hardest thing to apply is makeup that doesn't look like clown makeup, right? Anybody can throw some shit on their face and look fucked up, right? But if you want to look good, like I don't wake up looking like this. I look rough in the morning. I look about 127 years old. I'm real ugly, but I look like I'm halfway decent. Like I'm a 5 now, but I wake up like a 1. So I teach women how to not look made up like a hooker, right? And look more like a looker. So Hooker to Looker. And that's just kind of like the education aspect of what we offer. Got you.
And so that's what the book was. And you said when you first printed the book, it was like 60 pages. And then I ended up going
it was a 60-page Word document. It was 120-ish, I think, pages in the actual book.
In the actual book.
It was a coffee table style kind of book where you wanted to show it off, and then it was a conversation starter.
Gotcha.
I was like, Hooker to Looker, what is that? And it had my face split down the middle with hooker makeup on one side and then regular makeup on the other side to show the difference.
Oh, okay, cool. And so did that book offend anyone?
Oh, of course. I had people saying, I can't believe that you're supporting sex trafficking in Houston. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Did you even read the book? Do you even know what this is about? So we actually named it before it even came out. People were already giving me flack about it. And my mom was like, I don't know if you should use that name. I'm like, oh, y'all can fuck off. I'm using the name. It represents who I am. But we added the subtitle. So it's called Hooker to Looker, and then a makeup guide for the not so easily offended. If you're offended, don't buy this book.
Don't buy this book. Yeah.
You can go read Joel Osteen's book. You can't read mine. Okay?
I'm looking forward to, for the book to come out again, and I would like to read it too. And
hopefully this summer, fingers crossed.
Yeah, hopefully this summer.
Got to update it. I mean, makeup trends change, and that's why there's not
I've
very
been
many
thinking
books.
about putting some makeup on me too.
Perfect. We'll have a guy section.
Good. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But makeup, there's not a lot of makeup books out there. There's not a lot of. He ain't kidding. I saw him put lipstick on right before we started, okay? But there's not a lot of makeup books. It's like writing a book on fashion. Shit changes every 6 months, right? So I have to, every time I go into print, update the book for tips and tricks, and my photography gets better too along the way. What I teach people now isn't what I taught them 5 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a constant evolution and having different volumes every time.
So you said you started this business. Now, you posting on Facebook and everything, right? So and Facebook at that time was completely free. I mean, not unlike today, Facebook is more like a pay to play kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You post something today on Facebook, they'll only serve it to 100, exactly. 200 followers of yours. The other people, they'll just hide unless you're paying them, right? But you started at the right time. And then, so how did you get the word around besides Facebook? I mean, what would you do? I mean, will you said you had told me that you were going from the trunk of your car. Tell me a little bit about what did you do?
Yeah, so let's rewind back to August 2011. I wasn't in a retail store yet.
Okay.
I had worked for Neiman's. I called the lady who hired me, who was a buyer, but she's like, kind of, girl, I get the same phone call like 17 times a day. People who used to work for me starting a brand. You wouldn't be able to meet a PO for us right now. And I knew it was true. Mm-hmm. So I just kept building my brand, building my inventory. 8 months later, I was sold in my first retail store. But what did I do from month 1 to month 8? Mm-hmm. Literally sold it out of the trunk of my car like a Compton watch dealer, right? Okay. Pull up to people's house, pop my trunk, be like, what color you want? I got red, yellow, green, what you want? That's kind of how it started, doing makeup parties. And I told people, I would charge you $200 to do a one-on-one makeup lesson with you at your house. And then you can buy whatever you want at the end. I'll bring not just my brand, but other brands too. All my kit and caboodles, like a tackle box I carry with me. But if you get 6 more of your friends, I won't charge you, because I knew my exposure would be to 6 people instead of 1, right? So I would do that, but I would still work day rates at the department store. So I would do day rates at the department store, getting $200 a day for pretending like I was like the big artist from New York or whatever.
Okay.
And then I would do the weddings on the side and go and do individual makeovers. But then I would do these parties. I mean, I was working 7 nights a week. I was traveling from Texas and Louisiana. There was a little store in Louisiana. I would come. She would do complete wardrobing for women, and then I would do their makeup. And I would sell like $10,000 a week.
Wow.
Once it got a little bit bigger. So I was just literally on the road 24/7. Then once I got my first store, I was like, okay, learning experience here. Then other stores started calling. And then I got into a department store in Louisiana. And then I was in 4 stores in Louisiana. Then it was 8 stores, And then it got to be where we had 17 stores, but they weren't being managed properly because I didn't have the infrastructure. So we kind of pulled back on that. So now we only have 13, 2 of which are mine. But we're really focusing this year on making sure that every single store is like a cookie cutter. Like you want all of your locations for furniture. You want everyone to have the same experience, regardless if they go to the Gulf Gate, area or the Alameda area or whatever, right? You want them to get the same experience. You want to have the same stuff on display. You want it to look the same and feel the same. I want that for my makeup brand too. Otherwise, that turned into just like any Joe Schmo brand that you can buy at Walgreens, and I don't want that.
Okay. So now you were working 7 days a week, going still do, right?
You know how it is. You don't ever turn it off. I will never, for the rest of my life, get to watch a show start to finish without stopping and using my phone. I will never, ever, for the rest of my life, sit on a beach, enjoy a margarita, and not think or talk about work or be on my phone. That's not really who I am anyway. But I will never have that. I've devoted my entire life to this. Every waking hour is this.
Right. And you know what? That's good. But there will be a time, we'll talk about it. That's a different conversation. Okay. But let me ask you a question. So you started a business. Now you're going to Louisiana. You're working 7 days, popping the trunk, doing makeup parties for these girls, 6 people. You're also doing your
I'm like singing an old rap song in my head now. Pop in my trunk.
Pop in your trunk. Look at you. And then you go doing the wedding scene on Saturday, and maybe some parties on Sunday, whatever it is, right? And getting your hustle on, living in the hood, 7 days a week out there, and which you say you're still working. 7 days a week. Fast forward it 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. Now today we are 10 years in.
Almost.
What did COVID do last year to your business?
So let's
Because I know there's a lot of businesses that suffered and a lot of businesses flourished, right?
So let's back it to March 16th.
Let's do it.
These are
March
dates,
16,
These are
2020.
dates that I'm never going to forget for the rest of my life.
Okay.
Right? March 16th. It was a Monday, I believe. Everybody starts talking about how they're closing the stores and being like the best company of the year award. Sephora's announcing on social media that, you know, we care for our employees. We're going to shut down. And it was putting a lot of pressure on me, you know, especially my business partner, you know. I say business partner. There's multiple offices warehouse or office within my building, right? So her and I are best friends. We work together, but we're technically two separate businesses, right? So she wanted to close before I wanted to close. That put a lot of strain on our relationship. I mean, I'm a gangster. Like, I'm not going to go down without a fight. I did not want to close. But come Wednesday, shit started to really hit the fan. Right. And I told all my team, and I don't cry much. I have like 3 feelings, and they don't come out very often. But I cried and told my team, I was like, y'all think that in 2 weeks when we open back up, these people are going to be rushing inside of this building? They're not. People are going to be scared. You know, thank God I had a really good nest egg, and I had always prepared financially, like in my bank account. I'd always left a lot of cash flow. I don't overborrow. I don't overspend. And then I also always had a lot of inventory. So I had $3 million retail worth of inventory, right? So I knew I could make it through inventory wise, but I didn't know financially how long this was going to last. Like, how long can I float my employees? So thinking that it was only 2 weeks, I told everybody, I said, listen, I'm going to pay all you guys your hourly. If you were on the schedule to work for these 2 weeks that they're forcing us to close, I will pay your hourly. But they're 10 and 10, right? They're $10 an hour and 10% commission of what they sell. So a big part of what they make is their commission. I said, so I don't have time to like recode my website to like have y'all's names in a drop down, but what I can do is a workaround. So my workaround was discount codes, right? I made all of their names discount codes, but the customer didn't get anything for that discount code. They were supporting the girls. They got 1 penny off, right? But it was a way that I could track what they were bringing to my website. Well, before, I was the only one marketing my motherfucking brand. I was the only one on Instagram hustling every day, and I was constantly frustrated. I'm like, listen, I can't handhold this all for you. You know, you guys why would you not want to? But not everybody thinks like me, right? But I'm like, why would you not want to get on and hustle like me? If y'all all had as many followers as me, can you imagine what this company could do and what you could bring home, right?
Right.
So they were like, we don't feel comfortable behind the camera. We're not good like you. I sucked too when I first did it. You watch my first YouTube videos, I was like a scared cat. Hi, I'm Jentry. I sell makeup. We buy it. Thanks. You know, but it forced them. So I can't complain about all the shit that happened during COVID. It was scary while it was happening, but it forced all of them, some of them single moms with 2 or 3 kids, right, to get behind the camera and fucking make some shit happen, right? And they did. And they had the best month they had ever had. We sold $300,000 online in March. We sold $300,000 online on April.
In April.
And I said, you know what? I'm not going to take this discount code thing away from you guys. When the store reopens, which it did 6 weeks later, I'm going to let y'all have all that. So y'all can still hustle online, still hustle inside the store. And some of these girls are making 6 figures a year now.
Wow.
As a makeup artist with no degree, right? I mean, it really depends on what you put into it. But the ones that are behind the camera more, the ones that are pushing, we did $2 million online and we did $1 million inside the store. The potential for online next year could be $4 million, right? You can only do so much. You only have so many hours in a day, so many clients you can see. Internet, endless. So that's what I'm trying to teach them, and they're finally catching on, and now they see, and they all bust their ass.
So is it safe to say that last year, 2020, was your best year?
Yes, it was. So we did 2.1-ish, 2.1, 2.2. This 2.1. On 2019, we did 3.2 this year.
Wow, so almost 50% increase.
So in January, we set our goal to be 3 million. And I thought, when we closed our doors, I was like, there's no way in hell we're going to hit that, right? But we did, and we surpassed it. And I had a major surgery in January, right? Like a full body lift. They chopped my body into little pieces and put it back together like a little Barbie doll. Cut all the extra skin off, all that. So I couldn't lift anything over 5 pounds, right? For like 6 to 8 weeks. As soon as I hit
that was in January 2020.
That was on January 6th. I had that surgery.
Of 2020. Okay.
So when we closed down, there was a guy who owned a machine shop in Houston who made all his people come to work, and he got arrested. They were like setting an example for him, right? So I was too scared to have anyone come help me at the warehouse. So here I go in there by myself every motherfucking day, packing 150 boxes, answering the phone, printing the shipping labels, taking incoming, exporting, like gluing shit together, because all stuff comes to us. We do final assembly. I'm doing all of that. I just had a baby too. So I'm like, have an 8-month-old at home. I just had this major surgery, can't lift over 5 pounds, and I'm shipping out 150 orders a day for 6 weeks. I about died. I have 3 brain cells left because of it. It like literally took everything out of me. It was hard. It was so hard, but it was worth it because I think we were stronger because of it. And I don't think we would have hit 3.2 million if COVID wouldn't have happened.
And what made you want to? I mean, what drove you to be out there doing it by yourself? I mean, why?
Well, I was scared I was going to get arrested if I made any of my employees come to work. I was like, if I have to fire one of these bitches, they're going to like tell the government that I made them come work during COVID, and they got the COVID and fucking their dog died or something. I don't know. So I was too scared I was going to get sued. So some of them were like, "We'll come in and help you." I was like, "No, bitch, stay at home. Get on the interwebs and start videoing yourself."
And they video themselves.
So I literally pushed them. I was like, every day we would have conference calls at 9 a.m. and I would just tell them like, "Here today, I want y'all to push this. This is what we have a lot on hand of, right? Because you're going to push what you're heavy on inventory." So we pushed things that I knew. I was like, if y'all sell everyone's favorite color, it's going to sell out. And the manufacturers were closed. I couldn't order anymore. I had 2 manufacturers that stayed open. The rest of them were closed.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because supply chain was a big issue for my business, right?
Yep.
And you got stuff coming from. Is it only coming from domestically, or is it coming from internationally too?
Everywhere. So my packaging company is in Fort Worth, but their factories are in China.
Okay.
And I have one packaging company in California and one in Dallas, Fort Worth area.
Okay.
So nobody's packaging is made in the U.S. That's why you couldn't get Clorox wipes.
Right.
Because the actual package that they go in, even though they're filled here in the U.S., the container, they were shut down. So China was behind. So even when China started reopening, we were closing. So I had I can't even sell too much to the store, but one of my manufacturers snuck in and got me something that was on Q&A hold. That was like my number one selling item, and she got it off the shelf and out to me. Thank God, or that really would have hit me hard.
So, so not only are you having challenges, getting the people to work, and you're working in the warehouse by yourself because you're scared that
I'm gonna get arrested, go to jail.
Yeah, knowing little that you could have had warehouse people do fulfillment of order because Amazon and everybody else was.
But we weren't essential. Makeup's not essential, so we didn't
fulfillment is. But fulfillment was, but which is fine.
Okay.
Neither here nor there, right? But neither here nor there. So you just decided you're gonna work by yourself. But now you're having supply challenges in your inventory. I mean, your supply chain is broken. Supply chain is all over broken. I mean, everywhere. I mean, people it still is. I mean, my industry, furniture business, has got hit hard. I mean, because a lot of stuff come from overseas, and the container price, the freight prices have gone up. To get the supplies have gone up, the prices have gone up. That's why the housing market, the house prices have gone up. It's taken a house builder, instead of 6 to 9 months, now 9 to 13, 14 months to make to build a house.
And even if final good is not made, overseas, parts of it is.
Parts of it is.
The car's made in
the components.
The car's made. Tesla's made in California, right?
Yeah.
But where do all those parts come from, right?
Yeah, overseas.
Everyone has some part in their business made overseas that they couldn't not get a hold of, or still can't get a hold of, or substitute things. So things are changing. Like,
you give a good example of the Clorox wipes. The container that it comes in, and I mean, same thing with Lysol bottles. I mean, it wasn't that they couldn't make more, right? Yeah.
They didn't have the supplies to do it, or the ingredients. You need a raw ingredient, and it comes from overseas, Germany, whatever. You can't get a hold of those. So they were using substitute ingredients. And I actually had to do a recall on one of my products. I'm like, something's weird and different. So I called the supplier. She goes, "Oh, we use a substitute ingredient from a different company. So we didn't get the pigment from here because they went out of business. So we got it from here instead." Well, thanks for fucking telling me. Now I got these customers complaining. It's all fucked up. It's not working right,
Yeah.
So it's hiccups like that I'm running across. Customers saying, "Did you change the formula?" Well, I didn't change the formula, but you can use a substitute ingredient,
Yeah.
Butter from one company ain't butter from another company. It's different. Tastes different.
That's why it doesn't matter where people are buying from online. It's like there's a delay in shipment. There's a delay in product production. So
people think it's an excuse. And I think some companies are using COVID as an excuse for things that they normally wouldn't use an excuse for, right? But
majority of the company,
majority of it is something in their supply chain is broken, and it takes about 4 to 5 companies to make every product that I sell.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's like that with everything.
If I can't get the cardboard box because they're behind, they're short staff. My cardboard box company's in California. They're running really long lead times. What I normally can get in 6 weeks, they have 3 people working in their warehouse right now. It's taking sometimes 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like asking people, "Hey, you just bought a powder online. Do you care if it comes in a box?" But I think it'll also force people to be like, "Well, I don't really even need the cardboard box. Huge expense for my company.
Yeah.
If I can cut that out,
Exactly.
It's forcing people to do things different ways, which can be good and bad.
Which can be good and bad. So now 2020 hits, COVID happened, blessing for you. Girls are hustling, you're working harder because of the supply chain and everything. What are you going to do different moving in? I mean, because there's a learning experience, right? People learn from mistakes that they made. People learn from lessons that they've learned. And the hardest lesson that we learn sometimes are a blessing in our business. Sometimes it's a blessing in our life. What what did COVID teach you?
Definitely taught me the power of the interwebs, right? I knew I could do more online.
Uh-huh.
I didn't really know what I needed to do to get those extra followers or to do the marketing part of it. So we're really going to hit Instagram this hard. I'm doing a lot of those sponsored ads to get them to follow us. Also hiring more layers of management. I can't micromanage everything anymore. And that's been the hardest part the first 9 years is I try to do too many things. And someone recently said to me, you can't work for the business. You got to work on the business.
You cannot work in the business. You got to work on the business.
She's like, I had a little buzzer that I bought on Amazon. And every time that I'd answer a phone call, can I make an appointment? She'd click the buzzer. I'm working for the business, right? And she would flip back and forth and it would tell her what % per day she worked. And she goes, and every day I would try to cut that % of what I was working, in the business, right? And she's like, once you can step away from that and trust your team, they're going to make mistakes and they'll have to fix it themselves. So I sat down with every single person on my team, typed up a 6-page document of all my expectations of all the things that could happen, right? And how I would handle those things. And they're literally looking at almost like an employee handbook that someone actually reads on how to handle each thing so they don't have to come to me and ask me a lot of questions. So now I can take a step back, and what I learned from it is I have to separate myself from the business because what I'm really good at is at the marketing side, the people side, right? They can be shipping the orders. I don't need to be down there doing it. I don't need to be ordering products. I don't need to be a part of that.
Funny you said that because I just did a video a couple of days ago that basically I talked about if you want to be successful in 2021 in your business, then hire somebody who will do things that you don't need to do. I mean, if you're strong in sales, then you go make sales. But if you're not strong in bookkeeping, hire a bookkeeper. Hire someone who's going to pay your taxes.
Sean said that to me years ago because he would be like, we need to hire a maid. And I'm like, okay, you're snobby ass. We don't need no maid. We want a housekeeper. He's like, listen, my time is more valuable than $120 to spend my entire Saturday cleaning this house. We ain't doing that shit.
Yeah.
Our time is more valuable than that. So you put $1 on what an hour is worth for you, and anything that costs less than that, then you got to pay somebody else.
You're absolutely right. I had a really not a mentor, but this guy, his name was Earl Burns, rest in peace. He taught me a lot about furniture business. And one day he said, and this was, I think I was 23, 24 probably at this time.
So last year.
Yeah, last year. And I was 3 years in business, and Earl comes to me and said, Sam, what is your time worth? And when he said that, I'm like, what do you mean?
You really have to measure it out. You have to have a
dollar
number.
I said, what do you mean? He said, well, what is your time worth, Sam? And I said, I don't know. He said, how much do you want to make an hour? Now remember, this is 24. This is year 2001, I think, right?
You're like $22 an hour.
Right. And I said, $25 an hour? And he goes, well, that's not enough. I said, what do you mean? He said, no, I think you need to have a higher number. I said, I don't know, 50? He said, no, I said, well, what is your time worth? And he said, I think my time is worth $400 an hour. I said, $400? Oh my gosh.
He's like, I'm gonna shit my pants. Let me go to the bathroom real quick.
And I'm like, Earl, that's a lot of money. And I'm like, so I'm like a math whiz. So I'm like, $400 an hour, that means you're making $3,200 a day. I'm like, Earl, if you make 5 days a week, you're making $15,000.
Yeah.
And I'm just calculating. I'm like, that's $800,000 a year. He said, yep, that's not enough. Should be making $1 million a year.
It's never enough. And you know this for me, it's never enough.
And that's what he said.
You think back to when you started and what you're doing per year now. Like for me, I started at $75,000 a year. I never would have thought I would have sold $3 million. That number seems so big to me.
Yeah.
When I hit $3 million, I'm like, I feel like it really should have been $30 million for how much I put into it. Right?
And you got to understand that there's a difference between, people don't understand, there's a difference between sales and gross sales.
I wish I had $3 million in my bank account.
And
but
net
I do not.
profit, right? But
Yep.
And a lot of people don't understand that. But so he told me, he explained it, he broke it down for me, and I'm like, okay, well, wow. He's like, well, how much do you want to make? I'm like, well, I think I'll be okay with $150,000 at that time. He's like, okay, well, let's just divide it. That's what your time is worth. Now, every time you fucking around with Tom, Dick, and Harry, you got to remember, what is your time worth? And I mean,
what you could have been doing with that time.
Exactly.
Right? You could have made the company $10,000, $20,000.
Exactly.
And that time that you're out there showing somebody a couch, you ain't got time for that.
Right. So
people will call me from the basement because we have a basement inside of our building, and they'll be like, "Can Jentry come up here and color match me?" And they're like, "She's not here." Oh, I saw her car because I have a personalized license plate. I saw her car. Oh, like, she's in a meeting. Well, I want her to match me. And I'll come up there and I'll tell them. I'll be like, I hired this team so they can do it for me. I train them. I can't be up here color matching people all day because if I do, you won't have no shit to buy.
Yeah. And you know what? It took me a long time to think about, to do that. I sold furniture on the floor, sales floor, for first 20 years. And I mean, I've been, well,
I was going to
19,
ask, how many years is your company?
19 years. So it'll be 23 years this year in June.
So it's just until really recently that you stepped back and started working on the company.
Yeah, 19 years. I mean, I work 7 days a week, every day. I mean, every week, 6 days a week, 60 hours, 65 hours. I mean, you know.
I remember when you started.
You do?
Yeah. I mean, I'm old enough to know. I think, was the Almeida one your first location?
Almeida Mall, inside the mall.
I'm from Friendswood, Clear Lake, so I drive past it all the time. I don't remember the mall. You bought the shoe store.
No, so shoe store was in 2005.
Okay.
7 years. I was already in business for 7 years.
Okay.
When I did the shoe store.
I think I knew of you maybe a little bit before that shoe store because I recognized your brand already because you had already started doing like ads.
Yeah, ads
TV.
and stuff. Right.
So I recognized your brand and then I saw that next.
Yeah. Let's not bring those ads.
What was that shoe? What was that shoe company?
Just for Feet.
That's it. Yes.
Just for Feet. And I mean, you know, so I did the Just for Feet in in Alameda area and then the Southwest area, which is the Southwest store. I've completely transformed it. Alameda, I'm going to transform it in hopefully this year.
Just buy the whole mall.
I own that. I own that. That store now, by the way.
Oh, good.
So
you leased it at first, and then you ended up buying it from the.
I ended up buying it
from the mall.
From the mall.
Oh wow.
I ended up buying it from
Simon?
the mall. It used to be Simon long time ago. Then they sold it to other people. Then they sold it to other people.
Awesome.
Now it's some other
That's
company.
great. Prime real estate.
So yeah, that's what I bought it. I'm like, you know, one day it'll pay dividends, and you know, I'm just gonna make sure that I'm gonna redo the store and make it look good and make it look like my brand. You know, you've probably seen the Webster store. So
I have not seen the Webster store.
Yeah.
Where is it in Webster? What?
National Road 1 and 45. So I mean, my whole
yes. I think I have, but I didn't realize it was you.
Yeah. So
all our fries.
No, so the other side. All our stores now look the same.
Yes.
All our stores look the same except the Alameda store, which we will transform.
You're by the plant store.
I'm next to Fry's.
Okay.
Right next to Fry's. Right. But anyways, let's go back to you. Okay. So you started investing in your business. Let's go back to the early ages. Mm-hmm. Okay. Start, you know, doing
prehistoric ages. Yeah.
Prehistoric
when I was here with the dinosaurs.
Yeah. So you're doing these makeup parties. Mm-hmm. You're doing all those, on the weekends, you're doing the weddings, getting your money together. Well, 5 years, it takes 5 years to reach $1 million in sales.
3 years, 3 months.
3 years, 3 months to reach $1 million in sales. Okay. You're building your inventory at this time. What was some of the things that you wish you would have done in the first 3-4 years that you look back and you say, you know what? If I would have done it this way, or if I would have known better, I would have done it a different way.
No regrets. No, I think every decision that I have made has brought me to where I am now. So I can't say I can be regretful of anything that I did to get me here, because any decision that I could have made differently could have led me to not be sitting here right now.
Okay, fine. So let me just put it this way. What were some of the bumps and bruises?
The big mistakes I made?
No, let's just talk about bumps and bruises. Like something that was not in your control and it happened. And you're like, if this would have happened, I would be 10 steps ahead.
Things I wasted a lot of money on.
Whatever it could be.
Is some of the manufacturing part of it. So when I first started, I started private label, right? I'm sure you know what private label is. Some people don't, but every industry has it. It's white label, whatever you call it, to where you buy the stuff that has already been produced and they put your logo on it, right?
Yes.
But it's easily to recognize that other people have your shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jessica Simpson does not make her own shoes. It's
right.
Private label, white label, right? So I started that way, but quickly started to realize that people were recognizing my stuff. Like, oh, I saw this on Instagram. It looks just like you. Is this girl copying you? How do you explain that to a customer, right? So section by section, I started taking things out of private label and self-manufacturing it. Mm-hmm. But I had no experience. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, right? So here I am trying to buy packaging and not doing compatibility testing, and then the manufacturer not making me do it, filling it, and then having a batch of 2,500 or something, and the viscosity of the product, the thickness of the product doesn't fit through the freaking hole. So then you have to dump 2,500 pieces of something that cost me like 5 figures to buy. That's trash, right? Mm-hmm. So I could have invested that money more wisely had I had taken the time and hired the right people below me. But when you're doing everything, you don't have time to fine tune or perfect anything. It's like turn and burn, money in, money out, and hope for the best, right? So I made a lot of mistakes in manufacturing along the way that I really wish I would have either had a mentor or maybe been on the more of the back end somewhere else, right? I had the sales down, I had the marketing down, I had the social media down, but the back end of it, I didn't have a lot of experience, so I had to learn as I go, and I made a lot of mistakes financially with that. But it didn't put me in a bad place. And the good news is I always paid cash for everything. Mm-hmm. Never ever, like what I charge on the credit card, I pay it off every week, right? Mm-hmm. I never ever got a line of credit or a loan. Everything that I do is with my money, right? So it didn't put me in a bad financial situation because I how do I want my money wrapped up in inventory and couldn't pay the bills,
So how much of you'll say your success, or how much of your success, and I know you're still building, but how much of your success so far you'll say has to do with social media, Instagram, Facebook?
All of it.
All of it?
If there was no social media, I don't know how I would have got out there and marketed myself. I mean, the department stores wouldn't have, and I never really wanted to sell to department stores. Let me just start with that. I always wanted to be more of a boutique kind of brand because I knew 10 years ago, department stores would not be around in 10 years. I knew that. I called it a long time ago. I said, it's too much real estate, too many layers of management, too much overhead. Department stores are not going to be around. Internet's going to take over somehow, some way with the whole shopping thing. It happened a little bit faster due to COVID, right? Faster than I probably thought it was going to. But I knew I wanted to sell like in more boutiques or have my own stores, or focus mostly online.
So, if you say, hey, this is something I haven't done yet and I want to do it in the next 2 years in business, what would it be?
I really want to like catapult the online side of it. I don't really know what my point of difference is going to be to make my brand stand out just yet, but I can foresee myself being what Drunk Elephant just did in Houston. You know what that is?
Yes, I know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
900 some $million?
$800 million, I think.
$800 million.
Yep, started 3 years after me and had just a handful of products. I have 450 SKUs, right? She had, I think, 10, maybe 20, right? What seemed so far away and never within my reach, because here, poor white trash girl from Friendswood, Texas, right, without any money. I'm not smart enough. I don't have family that has money. I didn't have anyone to help me. I didn't really want to go get investors and have someone tell me what to do. I could never be that. Now I see myself getting there. But something that I have to focus hard on is not doing the manual labor every single day inside of my store. I don't want to spend, each one of my locations costs me over $1 million, right? But I buy the buildings, I don't lease. So I buy the buildings, then I invest, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 into remodeling them. I don't want to keep duplicating that because I don't need any more brick and mortars. The brick and mortars are my advertisement. The retail stores are my advertisement, right? But getting them to come back and replenish online and upselling them. That's my goal. And that's what I think is going to take me. It's the data, it's the customer base, it's the technology. I just started an app, but having an app that someone can just take a picture of themselves and it would spit out all the colors you would need, like foundation colors. Like I want to have something like that because that is what's going to I'm going to be able to sell for big numbers one day.
Right.
So that's my main goal.
You might have Laura Mercier call you.
Maybe.
So say, you kept saying like, hey, I put a big chunk of my money. I don't owe anybody. I had big cash flow. So I'm assuming you're one of those people who save. You're a saver.
Yes. I always saved for a rainy day. Thank God.
Okay. But, and what caused that? I mean,
we said this in the beginning, and I had credit cards, just like every other college student got a Capital One card in the mail, right? And it's so funny when I look back because I think my limit was maybe $1,000 on this credit card, but I always had like $975 charged on it. I had never paid a bill late in my entire life. Whatever I had to do, if I had to be a beer promo girl for the night to make a couple $100, whatever I had to do, I was a hustler and I always worked 2 or 3 jobs to make it happen, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, you said prostitution was one of them.
Prostitution. If I had to go down to Eddie V's one night, you got to do what you got to do because you're a baby, right? No, I did not do that. Let me just say, because a lot of people did think that in the beginning. They're like, how could she afford this, right? She's just a little club girl. She don't know. But I always paid my bills on time. I really researched how to have a badass credit score. So I had over an 800 credit score when I was like 25, 26 years old because I knew how to play the game to get that, right? So I worked so hard and I just never wanted to mess anything up. But I remember really stressing out about owing money on a credit card. I thought to myself, I was like, oh my God, I can't sleep at night. How am I ever going to pay off this $975 credit card? Now I look back and I charge that in 5 minutes now. So now there's like, I'll look at my credit card right now, probably put $30,000 on it, got to make that $30,000 payment. And a week later, it's $30,000 on there again, Yeah. So the numbers, they don't feel the same as they did. But I don't ever leave anything on a revolving card. I use like a Chase Inc. business card. I don't even know if you're even allowed to do that on that card. I like to collect my points so I get to travel for free. But I feel like not owing or not getting a line of credit when I really don't need it and spending my own money puts me less at risk for global pandemics. So a lot of companies, they don't even carry as much cash as me. Like I started recently finding out, I'm not going to say how, but someone who looks at a lot of businesses like credit and how much money they have cash flow, I have more than some companies that you would think carry billions in their bank account. And it's shocking to me because I never felt like it was a whole lot, but I don't know what to compare it to. Yeah. But that's definitely why I made it through the pandemic without.
I'm a big believer in having savings, right? And you gotta, because you gotta have the rainy day fund. I learned that from 2008, 2009 recession, you gotta, I'm a firm believer of having 6 months worth of rent, at least 3 to 4 months worth of payroll,
Yeah.
make sure a lot of the stuff is paid for. Same thing with me. I don't have no business debt except my real estate,
Yeah.
debt. So I mean, which
That's
is
the only debt I have is my real estate debt as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
But to me, it means more to have cash in the bank. It feels
peace of
better.
mind.
It gives you it's crazy how it gives you a number in your bank account gives you more confidence than actually having that fancy car, right? I know that I don't drive a piece of shit, right? I like my nice car, I like a nice house, but I don't have to have a bunch of material things.
Exactly,
Right?
I get it.
I'm not the girl that has 15 Hermes handbags. That doesn't matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
That bag says status for someone who ain't got shit. I'm trying to prove they have something. I used to be that person.
Yeah.
I used to drive like a beat up old Porsche Cayenne. $23,000 for that thing. It was like, how does she afford that car? My bitch is beat the fuck up. I pay more in repairs a month than I would pay, but I look good and people take me serious when I pull up and I pop my trunk. I got a Porsche Cayenne. They gonna buy my makeup. But in the beginning I had to do it, right, for the status part of it.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like, that doesn't even mean anything.
That doesn't even phase anything. You said you like to travel.
Yeah, used to.
Yeah, you used to. Tell me about that.
So my favorite place in this world is Tulum, Mexico.
Oh,
Been,
yeah.
I think like 14 times.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and that's my reward for working hard, right? Is I don't pay for my trips. I
So
charge
why
everybody on
Tulum?
a credit card. I just love the vibes. As the young kids
the
have
vibes,
the vibes there.
yeah.
Yeah, I like that it's laid back. It's a little hippie. Their food is fucking amazing. Everything is made outdoor. I love
Fa-
kind of the
fav-
Latin
fa-
cuisine.
Yeah. So which one is your favorite restaurant in Tulum, Mexico?
Casa Banana.
Casa Banana. Where is that at?
They moved. It was it was kind of towards the end. Now it's like kind of towards the middle. But it's getting a little bit. When I went last time, I took my girls on a trip. I said, if you sell, and I gave them all a goal, $30,000 each. during the
I've been
pandemic,
to
they
this.
won.
I've been to this place called Murmur, and it's right in front of Rosa Negra.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I don't like Rosa Negra.
I don't like it
It's
either.
a little bit too commercial. That's not what Tulum
Yeah.
was. Like what
Yeah.
Tulum is now. I mean, people will say that about 20 years ago, Tulum, right? I'm looking for that new place now because it's kind of getting a little over commercialized because during the pandemic, everybody was at home on their Instagram, seeing people just post pictures of Tulum, and then they all went afterwards.
I posted a story the other day. I said, is it only me, or was everybody going to Tulum during summer?
Yeah.
And now everybody's going to where the snow is at.
Yep.
So
It's a really cool place. So their food is amazing. I
love
love the
it.
hotels. I love the chill vibe. The beach is beautiful.
yeah, which hotel? What's your favorite hotel?
Closer towards the end.
Okay,
I
on
love-
the hotel zone, so more towards Casamalca
Yeah. So
area.
I don't love Casamalca, actually.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
The service kind of sucks. The hotels, I mean, it's pretty inside the rooms, but their pool's kind of. I really like Nomad and B Tulum. B Tulum is my favorite.
Tulum and Nomad, yeah, those are nice ones.
It's expensive as shit, but it's okay.
Expensive
I
as
get those points.
shit.
That's why I
Expensive
use
as shit.
Use the points. It's free.
Yeah. I haven't been to Tulum just a couple of times, but we'll talk about that later. So tell me, investing in, you said you're investing in your own business. That's one thing that you like to do. You said you have some real estate loan. Are you is that something you want to own your own properties, or, is that a goal, or what is it?
So, my fiance is in commercial real estate. He buys and sells like shopping centers and stuff, owns stuff in oil and gas. But watching him, I'm like, why would I ever pay for nothing, right? Pay for a shopping trip for what? To pay $8,000 a month to have a place and then I build it out and then I don't ever get that money back, right? Mm-hmm. So he's really good at finding good deals. And I was on LoopNet and my search criteria was really small. And one day he said, why don't you expand it out one street? And I was like, my people aren't going to drive that far. He's like, bitch, expand that shit. And I expanded it in 3 hours previous to that. Someone had listed that property and it had a billboard on it.
Wow.
And I got a billboard, a 30 by 10
Oh
billboard.
yeah,
with my
exactly where you're
property.
telling me where you're right down the.
It's
59.
all washed out. Don't judge me. There's like, you can barely see my face right now. I'm about to get it refaced.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to own so I would have something, 15, 20, 30 years from now. If I sold the business, I could sublease it back.
Sublease it back,
or
exactly.
Who doesn't want to own property in Houston on the freeway?
Of course. Who will? What are some of the advices that you will give to somebody who wants to be an aspiring entrepreneur? I mean, you've been in business now 10 years. I mean, that's a milestone.
Yeah.
So, and you've learned a lot. I told somebody the other day, I'm like, I didn't finish college, but I've probably paid more than 3 Harvard degrees, with all the mistakes I've made,
Yeah.
So what is some advice you can give to aspiring entrepreneurs, the people who want to be in their own business, mistakes that you made that they should avoid, or lessons that you learned from in your life?
Yeah, the support system that I had from my friends, I don't think I could have made it. without that because they worked for free in the beginning. They helped me label the makeup. They helped me glue the makeup into the compacts. Like having friends and and asking for help. I'm not the kind of person to ask for help. They offered their help, but ask for help from your family and friends. You can't pay all the labor. If you don't have an investor, you can't be paying all these things out in the very beginning, right? Mm-hmm. So because my friends helped me do all that, I paid my friends $50 a day to do that launch party with me. That's nothing. That's not even like their parking money, right?
Yeah.
But because I had that support system helping me in the very beginning, making connections, really pushing myself on social media, working every single day, not taking a day off, and not paying myself. Mm-hmm. I think people start to pay themselves too soon instead of reinvesting it back into the business. Mm-hmm. As soon as they make their first dollar, they're like, ooh, where am I going to spend it? You can't. You can't live like that. Yeah. You can't live beyond your means. You know what I mean? I always lived well below my means so I could afford to do more for my business, right? For every 2 good lipstick I sold, I bought 2 more. That was more important than paying myself. And I know not every person in every situation can have the service base and the product base and have it sustain each business, right? It just kind of worked for me. That was a good recipe for success for me. Mm-hmm. But just getting out there and hustling and not taking no for an answer, and figuring shit out. Most people, Sean said to me, he goes, the reason why you're going to succeed and all your employees, they think that they're going to go start their own makeup line. 5 of them already tried. Still trying. He goes, they're not going to do what you do. Because when most people come to a roadblock, you find a way around it. They don't. They stop, they get frustrated, they give up. Mm-hmm. So finding a way around the roadblocks and not taking no. If someone says, oh, you can't do that, but why? You tell me, I need to know, but why? Mm-hmm. And research ways around it or to innovate and find a problem and solve it, right? Everybody knows XYZ is frustrating, right? Find a solution to that frustrating problem and you're an instant millionaire, right? But you got to just keep pushing through it.
Gentry, I got to commend you. One thing that, we both share this thought process, like, reinvesting in your business, sell a lipstick, buy 2, buy 2 more or sell something, and reinvest in your business, build your inventory, make sure that the customer has a better experience all the time. Mm-hmm. Technology, like you mentioned earlier, you want to have an app that does all kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. That's what make a real business, a business versus a hobby, or people who are in the business to make a paycheck. When they start their business because they just want to make sure that they buy a job.
Well, shockingly, It's not about the money to me. Yeah. It's about the numbers, but it's not about the money. And Dave Chappelle said this one time when I was watching him in person, right when he came back, right? He's like, I just realized before I had the breakdown, I'm at the same restaurant eating the same motherfucking steak that this guy's eating. I have 50 million. He's got 500 million. We eating the same motherfucking steak. Yeah. And that's kind of what it's like. There's really no difference whether I have $1 million in my bank account or 10 million. The only difference is the private jet situation. Besides that, there's no difference. To me, it's more about proving to myself that I can do it. And I think it's because I didn't have a really great, I have a little bit of daddy issues, never feeling like I was good enough and always trying to prove myself. I think I was kind of born that way, right? And then getting passed up for that promotion at Neiman's, right? I was always trying to prove myself. And then when I started my own makeup line, the little bitches at the counter were like, she ain't never going to be successful. I don't know why she wasting her money, her time. She ain't going to be nothing. Watch me, bitch. Watch me, nay, because I'm going to do it. And I did it. And it's constantly trying to prove to myself, why do I think that I can't sell my business for $800 million? What's holding me back? What's the reason why I can't do it? There is not a reason. I can't come up with a reason. I just got to fucking work harder and find ways to be more innovative. And don't watch what my competitors are doing. Don't worry about what my ex-employees are doing. They don't matter. They're never going to be me, right? No one's ever going to work as hard as me. And that's okay. I need to focus on me and put the blinders on. I don't even look. People say, what's the trend this season? I don't give a fuck what the trend is. I do what I want to do, right? Because I'm not watching everybody else. I'm watching me. And I focus on me. And all the other stuff is white noise.
Exactly.
And so I think staying focused is really important too. And you can't be getting tied up in family drama or friend drama. If anyone causes drama in my life, you get cut out. I don't care if you're family blood or not. You get cut the fuck out because I don't have time for that.
Right. And that's a good recipe for, staying on track. Mm-hmm. That's a good way to stay on track. So when I'm ending the show, I always ask 3 things, right? It's like we call them like 3 vices, 3 advice, how to live life, whatever it is. So let's just say and we're coming towards the end of the show, and I want to ask you this. So let's say if today was the end of the world, end of your life. And you're moving to the next one, all your Instagram pages, all the podcasts you did, all the YouTube videos, all the books you wrote, they're all gone. And they hand you a pen and a paper.
That's kind of how I felt on March 18th.
They hand you a pen and paper and they said, Gentry, leave 3 things for your future generation, your kids, your grandkids, the rest of the world, how you should live life, what you should do, how to conduct, an everyday or whatever. That can be anything, right? What will you leave? What will you say?
Pieces of advice? Well, you don't have to have money to make money. I don't like that saying. Like,
you don't
have money to make money. I don't feel like that's true.
You don't have to.
I didn't.
Okay, so explain that. Expand on that. You don't have to. You don't have to have money to make money.
You don't have to have money to make money because I didn't.
Expand.
I worked really, really hard to have really good credit. I never had money, right? I told you I had $2,000 in my bank account, and that was actually on the high end of what I normally had, right? I bought a last-minute plane ticket to New York, and that hotel room, which pretty much wiped me out. I didn't know where the next dollar was going to come from, but I was able to take a risk, and I was not a risk taker. That's the funniest part. At that time, I was insecure, right? But I did it because I believed in myself enough that if I could do it for Neiman's, I could do it for myself, and I did it, right? But I continued to live well below my means for a very long time and made it work, right? So next thing is the obstacle thing that I was saying earlier. Number 2 would be finding a way around the roadblock. I think so many people get frustrated. I get frustrated with technology. Technology just pisses me the hell off. So does accounting and bookkeeping. Like the second someone says that word, it's like this fire in my heart, and it falls down to my stomach, and I get pissed off about it. I don't like doing those things, right? But there's some times that I come to something, I can't just get frustrated. I have to just take a step back, meditate for a hot minute, and be like, okay, I've got to figure out how to do this. Because if I can't get around it, I'm not going to be successful. And I always find a way around it. And if that doesn't work, I just make a whole new route.
All right. Third one.
What was number 1 again?
Number 1 was like, it doesn't take money to make money.
Yeah. I charged on a credit card and I made it.
Number two is finding around the roadblocks.
Ooh, third one's hard.
Third one can be anything.
I think just like investment of time. Like every day counts, every minute counts, every hour counts. You can't waste your time around bullshit people that bring you down. You got to cancel out the white noise and focus on you. Because I feel like I'll turn 40 this year. Where I could have been if I would have started this a little earlier. If I would have had a little bit more confidence a little earlier and would have canceled out all that drama, shit talking, comparing like a Suburbia, right? In Suburbia, everybody does that. Everybody drives the same damn Suburban. But everybody, whoever has like nicer rooms or whoever got the LT package, they got more money. None of that matters, right? I had to get out of that. And at least where I was, where everybody was comparing to one another. In Houston, it's totally different. Where I live now, if you're doing badass, everyone wants to be around you because you're a badass, because they all want to lift each other up. And it was so much comparing where I came from. And I think that once I turned that off and I was around people who were more successful than me and not wasting my time with people who were bringing me down, right? Either emotionally or financially or mooching off of you or whatever, that I was able to jet forward. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. What are you missing in life right now? At this point in your life?
I'm not like a real girly girl, nor do I have a lot of emotions, but the hardest struggle for me now is that my son, who is now 19 months old, doesn't attach to me like most kids attach to their mom, because I'm not around a lot. He has nannies that take care of him. That's hard for me. It's hard emotionally to know that he runs to them before he runs to me. And I don't know if this is going to be something that's going to be like forever, for something just limited time because he's a baby and he's just around them more or whatever. That's the hard part. And I'm hoping that I don't regret that, because I think that's part of like the daddy issues that I have, right? My dad was never around. He worked shift work. He always made his priorities, like his hunting and his fishing, over me, never took me with him, right? So we didn't have a good relationship, more stuff than that, but he was never really around. And I don't want that for my son either, right? I want him to come to work with me like I came to work with my mom. I want him to learn the ropes, because he's going to be taking over the shit one day. Either me or his dad's,
Got you. And define one thing. So one thing that you say that made you more successful. I understand, the time, the saving the money, the relentless, the finding the roadblocks. But if you got to say there's one thing that kept you grounded.
Always being true to myself. Actually, my PR person, who you know too, told me in the very beginning, she's like, you can't be cussing on social media. You can't be doing that. You got to be more professional. And I think that was always like just the atmosphere of customer's always right. Don't cuss out the customer. Don't say the bad words. Be professional. Fuck that noise. I told her, I was like, that is one thing that you're wrong about. I'm sorry. I probably turn off a lot of people. I get a lot of unfollows. I get a lot of follows. I get a lot of unfollows, probably more than most people. If I didn't get as many unfollows as I had, I probably have 100,000, 200,000 followers by now. But I think I offend a lot of people, but that's okay because I don't want those people in my circle. I don't like judgy people. I don't like people who get overly offended. I don't like people who were like straight-laced. You know, I came from not like the cleanest place of town. You know what I mean? I can't relate to people that are like that because that's just not who I am. But I attract people because I'm relatable to them. And those are the kind of people I want in my circle.
Gotcha.
Right? So I'm 100% myself on social media. I get up, I blog in the morning, like with no clothes on in bed. Are you naked? Is that a bra? With no makeup on, hair looking all busted, weave sideways. I don't care what anyone else thinks about me anymore. Right? I own a beauty company and I get on there with yesterday's makeup, haven't brushed my teeth, got spit all in my lips, drinking my coffee in the morning and blogging. And people, I think, appreciate that from me because I am so real and I don't try to play a game and put up a facade like this is really how my life is. Everything's hunky-dory when it's not.
Well, it's not. Everybody has some kind of flaws. Everybody has some kind of weaknesses.
Yeah. And I also like that. Customers always right bullshit. To go back to that, not here. I train my customers. If you call my store and you're an asshole, you get called out on social media. Tell everybody what a fucking asshole you are, and I don't want you shopping with me because I'm not tending to that. I'm not doing that. My girls they don't take any abuse, right? I don't tolerate that, and I ask customers to leave all the time. It's great.
That's good. Good for you.
I love when you call out customers online. It's hilarious.
Good for you. So, Jentry, where can they find you on social media?
Jentry Kelley Cosmetics on Instagram.
Gentry Kelley.
J.
Sorry.
I was just about to say you got to spell it with a J.
Gentry.
Yeah, if you do Jentry, it'll come right up. There's two of them. You'll see my food page, Jentry Eat Shit, or you'll see Jentry Kelley Cosmetics.
Okay, Kelley. EY Kelley. No, I got it. I just want to make sure that everybody who's listening can hear it. Jentry Kelley Cosmetics, and so you're on social media as what about your personal? Is that what it is, Jentry?
It is. It's all my life is my business, so I don't have a personal. Actually, I don't even know the login to my. I made one. I took my name so no one else could take it because I learned that about my book. The second that I announced the name of my book when we were naming it, someone bought the website.
Oh.
I was like, who is this motherfucker? I found out how he knew was one of my guy friends had me up in their garage and a bunch of dudes were watching the TV and he was saying, like, oh, this is Facebook pulled up. This is my girlfriend. Grew up with her. The guy went and bought the domain.
Oh my God. Shady guy.
I was like, fuck you. I don't need the domain. I have my own website. I'm a dry business in my makeup line anyway. So he just bought the domain for nothing.
Wow. So Jentry, so he has hookertolooker.com. Wow.
He don't use it.
He don't use it. He just.
He's gonna keep holding on to it. That will never ever. I don't care.
He just wasted X amount of money on there.
It's $5. He ain't getting shit from me.
Yeah. GentryKelley.com is the website. Okay. Right. Jentry, before I let you go, goal is what? 800 million?
If I could sell for 800 million, I'd be pretty happy with that. They always say, what would be your number? My number would probably be closer to 100 million. If someone offered me 100 million, it'd be hard to pass that up. But like,
I mean, it's a lifestyle change.
Is there really a difference between having 100 million to 800 besides you'd be able to make a lot more investments with the 800? Not really. But it's just whenever I feel like it's time and and I'm ready, I will. But I literally cannot imagine what else I'd be doing with my life because I really do still enjoy it. I'm not burned out yet. Once I get burnt out, that's a different story.
You got a long way to go.
Yep.
Yeah, I can feel the passion. I can see the passion. I can see the fire. Long ways to go. Well, hey, thank you for coming on the show. Thanks for sharing your story with us. And I want to get you back on when you get the hooker to looker
we'll do it.
book back on.
We'll do it. Pray. Everybody say a little prayer for me that this summer it'll be ready to go to print again.
Let's go. Let's get it done. And I mean, I'm hoping, I'm hoping that you can get your number this year, which is you said 5 million.
Hit 5 million. I think we can. We got the 2 stores now. We're really going to hit it hard on doing the Instagram Explorer page. There's a way that you can advertise on that somehow where you know, when you open up the Explorer page, there's all kind of crazy shit on there, right?
Yeah.
They throw in some business stuff too. And they just started doing ads on that. So I don't know what it costs yet. It's probably like $2 or $3 grand, I'm sure, a pop. But if it brings me that business, it's going to be repeat business.
Invest in your business.
Yep.
Invest in your business. Your business will pay you back.
Yep.
You know, that's one thing that I'll sum this up. A lot of people, you know, when they make money, which one thing I loved about you is one thing, live below your means. I lived below my means for a long time. Even till today, I still, people always tell me that, man, you're tight. I'm not tight. I mean, I don't need it. You know what I mean? I just don't need it.
Well, my girls probably think I'm tight about a lot of things, like a penny here, penny there, but pennies make dollars.
Yeah.
I used to work with a lady who'd always say that. That's so true. Pennies make dollars. And it means more to have the money in my account than to blow it and have a material thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I understand. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Well, I'll shake your hand. I'll shake your hand. Thank you so much.
Thank you.